Kenneth Copeland is one of the conservative Christian money-getters who's had it pretty easy over the years. When you're surrounded by sycophantic followers, it's easy to forget that there are people in the world who might have some questions about the legitimacy of your spending habits.
How are you, sir? We'd just like to ask you about why you don't want to fly commercial. Why have you said that you won't fly commercial? You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons. Why do you think that?
No, listen to me just a second. Of course. Not the people. The main reason is because of the need. If I flew commercial, I'd have to stop 65% of what I'm doing. That's really the main.
Isn't it true that you want to fly commercial so that you can fly in luxury? How much money did you pay for Tyler Perry's Gulfstream jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business, but...
Isn't it the business of your donors?
Listen, I paid. You kind of caught me off guard here, okay?
From the looks of this interview, Copeland's not really used to being confronted. You'd think he'd have some kind of answer prepared, but instead he looks rather panicked. When internet grifters get confronted, they don't usually get as flustered as this. I suspect that's because when you're on the internet, your critics are pretty accessible and you are accessible to your critics, so you have to be prepared for it. These old media money-getters just aren't used to being called out to their faces. They're in too much of an echo chamber. This echo chamber will let Copeland say stuff like this as though it should be taken seriously.
I speak in dominion over chromosomes, and I demand the proper count.
Not only is having dominion over chromosomes absurd, a lot of money that Copeland receives is from sick people who are giving him their life savings in the hope that doing so will cure them. And televangelists like Copeland spend that money on not only getting private jets, but getting the best possible private jets. Because that's the faithful Christian thing to do, as Copeland's buddy Jesse Duplantis explains.
Brother Copeland, I was flying home from a meeting, and I had come out of a glorious meeting. I had just finished, me and Creflo Dollar were preaching. Had a glorious meeting. So I was, for lack of a better way to say it, I was spiritually high. I said, people were saved, touched, and blessed. Got in the plane that God so graciously gave us, and we're flying home. As I was going home, the Lord, real quickly, he said, Jesse, do you like your plane? Now, you know, I thought that's an odd statement. I said, well, certainly, Lord. He said, do you really like it? And I thought, well, yes, Lord. Then he said this, so that's it? I didn't know how to handle it for me. I went, what? He said, you're going to let your faith stagnate? Now, when he said that, that shocked me. I went, whoa, wait. I literally unbuckled my seatbelt, my plane. I stood up. My pilots looked around and said, do you need something? I said, no, I'm talking to God right now. And he went back to flying. I said, Lord, I don't think I was letting my faith stagnate. He said, so this is all I could ever do. I said, you're trying to tell me something. He said, go to the book of Amos. So if you're at the book of Amos, I want to read the scripture.
May I interrupt you there for a second? Mm-hmm. You couldn't have done that on an airliner.
No, sir. No way.
Stand up and say, what'd you say, Lord?
No.
Okay, no, yeah. And the guy sitting over there saying, what the hell does he think he's doing? You can't do that.
You can't do that. No.
So one of the reasons Jesse and Ken need private jets is so they can talk out loud to their imaginary friend. And the interesting thing is that they know that if they do this in front of people, those people will quite rightly look at them like they are super dodgy.
Now, Oral used to fly airlines,
right?
But even back there then, man, it got to the place where it was agitating his spirit, sure. People coming up to him. He had become famous, and they wanting him to pray for him and all that. You can't manage that.
I need a private plane, otherwise there will be a bunch of filthy plebs asking me to pray for them, and I, as a big important preacher, can't be bothered with that.
Today, this dope-filled world, and get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Right.
Who are these demons now? Are the people asking to be prayed for the demons? Are people who fly business class the demons? Does Copeland think these folks are on dope? And why does the fact that you're in a tube with them matter? Are long metal tubes especially attractive to demons? Are there more demons in tubes than in the general population?
That's exactly the
point. And it's deadly.
And it works on you hard. It really does.
So anyway, I wanted to make that clear so the devil can't lie to you and say, see there, them preachers spending all that money, just fat cats riding around. No, we're not. We're in business to do. Listen, I could scratch my flying itch with my little single engine open cockpit airplane.
Right.
I just come home and fly around in that and scratch my flying itch. That doesn't have nothing to do with that. But we're in soul business here.
Right.
We got a dying world around us, Jesse. We got a dying nation around us.
That's right.
And we can't even get there on the airline.
Even if there are places you have to go that commercial airlines can't take you to, that's what charter flights are for. If you can afford a private jet, you can afford to fly commercial where the commercial flights go and charter planes for the places they don't.
Yeah.
Now, when God is speaking this to me, he said, so this is all I could ever do. And I'm thinking, in myself, well, yeah, this is a phenomenal aircraft you're giving us. He said, then when he said, you're going to let your faith stagnate, now that caught my attention. When God tells you your faith stagnate, you better start listening.
Yeah.
And I thought, stagnating?
You can't stay here.
Yeah.
You got to do this or you're going to do this.
He said this, you're on cruise control. You're moving, but no longer by your power. See?
That's what the DVD is about.
That's what that DVD is about.
So even if you have a plane that serves all of your practical needs, unless you were going for the nicer, more expensive plane, your faith is stagnating? Doesn't that sound exactly like something Jesus would say? Apparently it's only hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven if that rich man isn't trying to get even richer. Also, the excuse that he can't get to where he needs to preach on commercial flights doesn't explain why he uses his private jets to go on ski vacations and safaris. Not only does Copeland think he needs a private jet, he even has his own airport. It's in his backyard, next to his multi-million-dollar house. And you'd think that Copeland would be better prepared for Inside Edition, since this isn't the first time they've confronted him. Here's what an earlier encounter looked like.
You have a fleet of private jets. Why is that necessary? You're a minister. How many private jets do you have?
It's reactions like this that make me think that he knows that he doesn't need all that stuff. He gets defensive because he knows it's indefensible. If he did need it, he wouldn't get so flustered by folks who ask him about it. He'd just give them a straight answer. It's only after he has time to confabulate a weird excuse about tube demons that he has any kind of response. Folks like Copeland, Popoff, Tilton, and Baker can get away with what they do because their followers are willing to look the other way in exchange for having their beliefs affirmed. Jim Baker was convicted and imprisoned for defrauding his followers, and he's back on TV selling these weird buckets full of food. Popoff told people that God gave him information about his congregation when James Randi proved that he was really receiving the information via a radio earpiece. Did this end Popoff's career? Nope. He later started offering what he called miracle spring water that would magically heal you and bring you money somehow. Now, perhaps the folks who continue to give these people money don't know that they are proven frauds, but I wouldn't be surprised if they simply don't care. Folks giving money to Copeland, Baker, and Popoff don't just do so because they make absurd promises about miraculous healings and financial rewards. They do so because they say all the right Christian things. If you go through the motions of confirming conservative Christian dogma, the most committed followers will overlook everything else. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.